an age where the world is geared toward developing individuals, especially universities, to serve themselves, Covenant has uniquely taught me that I need to give my life away.
The Bible says you have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't have love, it's nothing.
This education isn't for me. This education is to serve the church and to serve the ends that Christ has commanded me.
You are really learning what it means to follow Christ and to really die to self.
At Covenant, it is part of our theology to say that history and psychology and biology and biblical studies and theology, all of these need to be taken together.
Christ died to redeem all of it, whether things in heaven or things on earth, all of it.
I'm taking astronomy and American music in the same semester.
It's important that what happens at Covenant is not just about learning content, but about letting that content form who these students become.
I want my students to be able to think through anything, any part of creation, any idea that any thinkers ever had or ever will have.
It's an enlightenment concept to just train a mind. In the scripture, in the Hebraic understanding of people, we, our hearts, minds, bodies, activities, it's one ball of wax. It all reflects the God in whose image we're made. If we just train minds, we're not training biblical Christians. You've got to train your heart, your hands, all of you.
Classes are difficult here, and we knew that coming in, but it's because we want to pursue excellence.
We look to prepare students to face a complicated and increasingly diverse world.
You can be as academically pushed as you can imagine if you come.
It's the community of Covenant College that really sets it apart. It's vibrant, spirited, and people put their heart into everything they do.
There's always something going on, and there's never a dull moment.
We become a family here at Covenant.
The resident hall you live in, then the hall you live in, then if you're an athlete and you're on a team, then all your teammates, there's just so many levels of accountability.
I mean, at what other place do you go to have dinner at the Dean of Students' house and they cook a 5-course meal for you and you sit and play with their kids?
Very often you see faculty and students together in offices, talking, wrestling, praying together.
They're here to pray for you. They'll pull you aside and tell you that they're doing so. They make it clear that anything you need, they're there for you.
In small classrooms, relationships are formed, and in those relationships, people are learning to work with their material, work with each other in love.
I get to talk with employers and alumni about what they're really looking for when they're hiring recent college graduates. And what they're looking for are people that have learned how to think critically, how to react to situations, and how to communicate effectively.
So there isn't any sort of job that you might have where the skills that you'd learn in a liberal arts program wouldn't be immediately valuable to an employer and to yourself.
I love hearing about how former students are now out in the world doing kingdom work in their communities and in their churches and in their homes.
One thing we find with Covenant's alumni is that after they leave the college, they find it absolutely necessary to build the kind of community they've experienced here elsewhere.
Coming to Covenant is kind of like stepping into the church and stepping into its movement and stepping into something that's much bigger than the individual.
There's this wonderful Romanian playwright, Andras Vishki. He has this wonderful saying, Christians are not supposed to be safe. They're supposed to be saved. And when you're saved, then you get to go with Jesus to wherever he calls you, even to dangerous places. And you get to take then the power of God and the hope of God into dangerous places. You might get hurt on the way. Jesus, for example, did.
God calls us to be part of his larger project of bringing beauty and justice and shalom into the world. And that project will be fully realized when Christ returns. In the meantime, we set up signposts. And they can be big and they can be small. People sit around the dinner table for a good conversation and good food. The quarrel is over, the strike is over. It is to do all these things, these, as I say, signposts of the coming kingdom that we all look for and pray for.